Hello, this is Jaco. Are you tired of grinding the post-game for Splatoon Raiders with the same single build? Are you craving a bit of variety for your salmonid fighting strategies? In this video, I'm going to present 6 gear build ideas for Splatoon Raiders, focused more on fun than strictly efficiency. I have tested and proven all of these builds fairly extensively, and they are all viable, especially for the giant crystal stages, which is primarily where I've tested them. These are all builds I've come up with on my own, and any resemblance to builds you've seen elsewhere genuinely is pure coincidence. And you don't have to strictly follow the recipes as I've crafted them here. If changing a thing or two, or several, creates a flavor you enjoy more, then feel free to take these ideas and experiment. That is the whole point of me making this video after all, to inspire and encourage creativity. Without further ado, let's get to the first one. My goal for this build was just to make a dynamo roller build, since dynamo is my favorite main weapon. And it turns out that dash bombs pair incredibly well with both rollers and heavier, slower weapons, which especially includes the dynamo roller inspired ones. This is because you can activate the dash at any time without canceling what your main weapon is doing, or otherwise having your main weapon interfere with their usage. The core ingredients are your choice of roller, preferably the engine roller, and the dash bomb with increased supply, double trouble, invulnerability, gadget cooldown, and your choice of dash distance. Personally, I think dash distance is one of those upgrades that is more of a season to taste type of upgrade rather than strictly a more is better one. I intentionally don't have the largest dash distance on my build here because the distance one level above the one I have equipped constantly felt like too much in most instances. Weapon damage surge is a pretty good idea as well, and I've also added extra explosion and a touch of next gadget damage to fill it out. For relic powers, I've currently got Ink Pro, Mega Power Egg Collector, Close Combat, and both Finisher and Speed gadget recoveries. To finish out the build, I've chosen the Power Tank with a vertical slash focused Splatchet and a tap slash partial shot focused Shellacker. The Splatchet gives some much needed vertical range, a heavy hit with hefty stun, and a backup panic option if I'm out of dash bombs. The Shellacker gives a solid tool to quickly deal with stingers and fish sticks at range, alongside giving some quick burst damage to pair with vertical flicks against airborne enemies, ramming and the Splatchet against tankier ones, or to quickly finish something off within a timing window, like a Maz or a Steelhead. When it comes to gadget choice, though, I could see any combination of power gadgets working, or even the Booyarang and a tactical gadget if you wanted to use the speed tank instead. There's a lot of customization potential with this one, as the core recipe is so simple, just like toppings on a pizza, if you wanted to use a food analogy. The plan here is just to play Salmon Run style Dynamo Roller. You roll around, crushing what you can, using your dash bombs to offset Dynamo's normally slow speed, keep your ink levels up, prevent taking excessive damage, and even give you a ramming attack. For stuff you can't crush quickly, you have your flicks and your other gadgets to fall back on. This can also include icebreaker shenaniganry if that's how you want to deal with particularly tanky foes, though I haven't quite gotten the required materials to properly add icebreaker to this build yet. Mainly a 5-star engine roller that I can actually build how I want. The goal of this one is to set up a trap, for lack of a better word, that grinds any salmonids inside down to power eggs. The core ingredients are the torque screw and the splatolites, meaning the tactical tank is required for this one. The choice of main weapon doesn't matter as much, though. For the torque screw, you'll want the biggest vortex size and damage increases you have, suction force, the ferment debuff, and ideally cooldown and duration parts to allow for overlapping deployment and match what you have on the Splatolites. Personally, I also like floaty fun and damage reduction for easier setup of the Splatolites, and letting me more safely assist from above with main weapon damage while baiting Salmonids aggroed on me into the trap. For Splatolites, you'll want placement, extra Splatolites, the best vertical reach, area size, and damage parts you have, and ideally duration and cooldown to allow overlapping deployment and match what you have on the torque screw. To finish off, you can go with some combination of uppercut, airborne damage, and a smaller amount of orbital range, if you have the space for any of those. For the last gadget, I've built a shot pot with the strange lingering smell for extra luring ability, and the sprinkler, mostly to fit the rotating attack vibes. Otherwise, it has some pretty standard upgrade parts, I feel like. For relic powers, Ink Pro to help with ink consumption while airborne, the double jump to get on top of the updraft a bit faster, fly gadget recovery, because you kind of have to have that if you're using the floaty fun torque screw, finishing burst from power to add that much more damage to the grinding circle, and showstopper power, mainly for the giant crystal mission grinding, or to get a second grinder set out more quickly if needed in the dens. The plan is to toss out the torque screw into a horde, or where a horde will be, and then drop Splatolites as close to the center as you can get, since placed Splatolites fall straight down instead of being thrown. This creates a sizable AoE field, which is very effective at taking care of all but the most tanky or elusive Salmonids. You can keep setting them up in the same area if anything survived the first round, or you can just move on to the next spot that needs attention if the job is done. The shot pot can be added to the grinding mix, or used on its own if you need backup while fighting somewhere else, or you need a tricky boss dealt with that is outside the radius of your current grinder setup. Also, watch out for slamming lids, as they can delete deployed gadgets by crushing them. The goal here is to float like a butterfly and sting like an E-liter. This build tries to be airborne and floating as much as possible, out of harm's way and picking off bosses with your charger. The recipe for this build is one of the E-liter variants, plus the jump bomb and torque screw on the speed tank. Plus, I've thrown in the flywire for some added mobility and extra punch. The jump bomb should have jump power up, slow fall, double trouble, ink resupply, and you can't go wrong with airborne damage up and some cooldown improvement. The torque screw needs floaty fun, the vortex size upgrades, especially vertical in this case, reduce the damage, and whatever else you see fit to add. Could be ferment, could be mega power egg collection, just whatever you feel like. I personally have added a good cooldown time and no duration up to force myself to keep moving a bit more but still have pretty ready access to placing my torque screw platforms. In general, the torque screw will be acting as a temporary sniper tower platform from which you can attack should you need to dig in and fight for a bit, while also potentially dealing with lessers for you. The jump bomb should be pretty self-explanatory, helping to keep you in the air, get you up onto this platform faster, and keep you supplied with ink, and potentially boost your damage if you've gone for airborne damage up. For the flywire, I've set it up with a focus on impact explosion damage, to add some extra punch should it be needed to finish off tricky bosses, or just to add some extra damage output. But its main job will be to get you to the ground fast should you need it to quickly reset your jump bomb height, collect mega power eggs from farther out stuff you've picked off, or trigger Moz or Flipper Floppers if they are stuck, submerged, and hidden, aggroed on you yet unable to attack because you're airborne. If you've ever tried to stay airborne with jump bombs for long enough periods of time, You might have noticed they have a tendency to lose maybe 90% of their jump height if you use too many of them too quickly. That's why a quick panic reset might sometimes be needed. For relic powers, Ink Pro, once again to help with ink consumption while airborne, the double jump for some extra mid-air agility, Mega Power Egg Collection to speed up that and the ink recovery process, and both fly and speed gadget recoveries. Long range damage up can also work, as vertical distance also counts for that bonus, but seeing as you can only put one tactic power on the speed tank, personally I would rather choose fly recovery. Oh yeah, while airborne, make sure to be in salt glide mode, or else you'll incur the usual charger mid-air charge speed penalty. How far can you push minimal main weapon usage, or even no main weapon usage, in Splatoon Raiders? Between the Squidward attack relic power and the speed tank, this build aims to find that out. I pulled the name from the Splatoon PvP technique called sharking, where you hide in wait in your ink to ambush an opponent, usually in a less than reactable fashion. You can't exactly do this in Raiders, since you can't submerge and hide from the Salmonids, but since you'll be spending most of your time in swim form, I think it's a fitting name. The core of this strategy will be the relic powers Squid Roll Attack and Grilled Squid, along with the Speed Tank's Torrent ability with the Tactics Vortex added via relic power to maximize swim form damage output. We'll also need Lifesaver to help get out of danger faster, and I've picked Midair Jump for a bit of extra agility as the last one. Though, keep in mind, using the extra jump does cancel the Squid Roll Attack aura. On top of this, if possible, you'll want the main weapon with another stack of Lifesaver, along with Endurance to further boost survivability and health recovery, and Close Combat to further boost damage output. For your gadgets, I've found one of the best ones to be the Flywire with tank ability activation, to instantly reactivate your Torrent paint. Otherwise, I've got a skewer focused build on it, because charging headfirst through Salmonids is kind of the name of the game with this build, and it gives utility as a danger emergency exit panic option. For the other two gadgets, while I had the Blast Boot at one point, I've currently settled on the Booyah and Tether Whale. For the Booyah, I've added Multi-Ring, Persistent Booyah, Add Ink, Mega Power Egg Collection, and Horizontal and Vertical Area Up. The point is to add some ranged, attacking, and utility options to the build, and even more aura as the Booyah Rings orbit you, thanks to Persistent Booyah. Eventually I want to try adding some slower speed and delivery duration up parts as well, so I can preserve the throw range and have them be able to chase me while painting under me. Seems like it'll be a fun time. As for the Tether Whale, it's focused more on close range attacking and paint support with multi-laser, Add Ink, the Sprinkler, Reel 'em in, regular damage, duration up, and victory duration up. The less you need to focus on keeping paint under you or deploying your gadgets, the more you'll be able to focus on your movement and keeping your torrent up. Lastly, I've picked specifically Shiver as the bot buddy because I couldn't have a build named the Shark and not pick Shiver. That being said, Big Man probably fits the MO of charging headfirst and ramming into Salmonids the best, and would give another danger panic option. As you can probably guess from the emphasis on get out of health bar danger mode tools, this build has a lot of opportunity to end up in danger crisis mode, and being there slows you down enough to prevent squid rolling, which cuts your main attack option. Other than this, which can be somewhat mitigated by skill, this build is surprisingly effective. The Squid Attack aura deals a surprising amount of damage even on just the first relic power tier, and has some pretty hefty knockback stun to it, which lets you make a mockery of certain otherwise troublesome bosses, steel eels and big shots, by almost completely stun locking them. Certain bosses are still a bit of a struggle to deal with quickly, but the Flywire and Booyarang combination, alongside the Exploration bot support, do a surprisingly good job of dealing with those bosses. Mostly. Slammin' Lids and Refill Steelheads will likely still give you a bit of trouble. Overall though, for such a gimmicky build, it works surprisingly well, and it's pretty fun because of that. For this one, do you like exploding things in video games? Do you, like me, miss Splatoon 2's bomb launcher specials? Well, this might just be the kit for you. Everything in this build explodes violently, from the spin wheels set to detonate on contact, to the bomb balloons, which are both self-explanatory and pushed to the largest I have parts for, to even the shot pot, set up to explode in every way possible. Even the main weapon is explosive, seeing as I've picked Explosher as the weapon of choice, though any blaster or stringer could probably suffice. Explosher does have piercing to set off the bomb balloons a bit more easily, though. Speaking of the bomb balloons, they are your main source of damage here. The goal is to set up for massive chain explosions as much as possible, since bomb balloon explosions get more damage with everyone in the chain up to the maximum of 6. I suppose smaller chains to boost single target damage are fine as well. The knockback I picked is specifically the one for the link damage, for added same-many disruption, and the deploy distance and follow are completely optional, meant more for better control of where the explosions go off. Even then, I'm not as certain about using those as I was when I recorded the footage for this video. Anyway, as mentioned, the spin wheel is set to explode on contact with Salmonids, and between the massive explosion and explosion knockback, they make for a pretty great get-off-me tool. I've also added the Scorch chance for better potential single target damage, though it's contact damage, not the explosion, that triggers the Scorch, so only the thing it explodes on has a chance to get burned. It works alright against Slammin' Lids though, which is the main reason I added it. I suppose I should probably test to see if contact damage would work better than Scorch for single target attacking. It probably would. As for the shot pot, like I said, explodes in every way possible. On deployment, on exploration, and its triple firing shots are all blaster shots, so naturally they explode too. It also has the lingering scent to distract and lure Salmonids into its explosions, which works remarkably well because the ending and deployment explosions are surprisingly powerful. For the relics, Finishing Burst can make Salmonids explode even more. Submerge Gadget Recovery lets you pump out your explosives more quickly. Speed Up and Speed Pro are more to offset Explosher's slow speed, and better help you circle the Salmonids as you set up, or just keep at a distance. Long Range is here because this loadout works better from a bit of a distance, and this heavily encourages keeping that distance. I will admit it doesn't pair as well with following on the bomb balloons though. Viability-wise, this one was probably the hardest to get working within the gimmick idea, but work it still does. The goal was to make a bomb balloon loadout where you throw out tons of explosives, and that's pretty much all there is to it. So, since I took so long making this video, I now have a bonus 6th build to share. This one is the strictest, probably the most expensive to get up and running well, and definitely the cheesiest of these ideas, but it is very effective once you've got a handle on it. I was thinking about which gadgets I hadn't used yet in these ideas, and realized 2 of them were the Meteor Mitt and the Blast Boot, both the Splashdown inspired ones. and I thought, why not make a splashdown focused build using these two? Of the rest of the power gadgets, the Splatchet felt it fit the best as the third option. The result of this idea? I accidentally made myself functionally immortal, and for absolutely cheesing me through a boss fight, it earned the name the Immortal Splashdown. So, I knew to some degree that the Meteor Mitt had invincibility frames, but it turns out that the Blast Boot does as well, both of them throughout the entire duration of the gadget use. And while the Splatchet can't have complete invincibility, it can have a hefty damage reduction, upwards of 90%. Toss in some cooldown reduction, repeat activation on the Meteor Mitt, and extra charge in on the Splatchet, and I managed to tune all three gadgets to perfectly flow into one another, in a 3-part cycle of explosive punches and kicks. One with a surprising amount of movement range to it, if you want it that way. Though, if you have too much, especially on the Blast Boot and Splatchet, you're very likely to throw yourself off the map, which I've done a fair amount of times. As a bonus, the cycle lasts as long as the tank ability buffs do, and since those can be instant activated by the Meteor Mitt, you can have all of them constantly active to passively boost your damage output. For the other two relic powers, close combat is basically just more free extra damage. If you can, you should also use a weapon with 3 stacks of close combat to up to double the bonus you would get from it. For the last relic power, there's a few different options you can pick from, though there's far less you can pick from for other weapon powers. The strategy is pretty simple, just cycle your 3 gadgets with relative impunity. I prefer Boot, then Mitt, then Splatchet for the order. You do have to be careful when it's the Splatchet's turn, as you can still take damage during it, and I've had plenty of times where I end up dashing off the map using it. That is the main way I've died using this loadout, by the way. It helps to know with a surety that the Splatchet's dashes and slice are dependent purely on the camera for aim, and you have to be pretty quick to aim them where you want. Overall, the biggest enemies of this loadout are time limits and out-of-bounds ledges. Just about everything else can be handled easily, if eventually. And that's all the gear builds I wanted to share. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with how they've come out. They all make for pretty good strategies, with hopefully plenty of ways for you all to experiment, customize, and otherwise build off of them. Hopefully they end up being as fun to use for you as they've been for me. I really enjoy coming up with strategies like this. For me, strategy means giving yourself the tools to deal with most, if not all, the situations you will find yourself in, and tactics means taking those tools and making smaller plans in the field for how you will deal with what gets thrown your way. In this way, strategy and tactics go hand in hand. This is also why I was on Team Tactics during the Collab Splatfest, and the main reason why I love this other small game, Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Anyways, enough rambling from me. This has been Jaco, and bye!